Welcome to LAX Trax. All lacrosse, all the time. Your source for California lacrosse. All right, good evening, LAX Trax fans. We are back here with another episode of your favorite show, LAX Trax, which is all California, all stories, lacrosse all the time. So great to have you back here again tonight. We got a phenomenal show with a true legend in lacrosse here with us tonight, and super excited to have him. But just for those of you who don't know us, I'm Tom Bowman. This is Jimmy Bull, my producer, who makes the magic happen here, right, Jimmy? It's This set and everything is all attributed to him. I'm just a loud voice. I just have a loud voice.
You have a beautiful voice.
He's got a great voice.
I was voted the loudest voice in the 6th grade, Jimmy. I told you that, much to my mother's dismay. But anyways, so we're gonna have a good show tonight. We're gonna have a lot of fun. It's a local coach here in San Diego, which I think you guys are gonna really enjoy getting to know his story. And as you know, this show is all about stories. So. Again, this show has just taken a life of its own. It's been really a lot of fun. We've had a lot of great coaches. We've had families. We've had dads and stuff. But it's all about the journey, and it's all about the journey of lacrosse, specifically to California. But we just want to tell the story. So I think you're going to really enjoy the one tonight. Without further ado, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I think they know a little bit about me and me being the voice of the Mavericks in La Costa Canyon. Anyways, we're really fortunate tonight to have a guy that's been around the scene for a long time, back east guy coming out here to California, which a lot of folks do. And he just acquired a new position, which we're super happy for him and super excited about what he's going to be doing there. But I think without further ado, Jimmy, we're just going to welcome Mr. Brian Cooper, who's the new head coach at Cathedral Catholic High School. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
Great to have you, my friend.
Glad to be here.
Such an honor to have you with us tonight. So it's just great for you to be here and everything.
Yeah, we've been trying to get you on the show for like 6 months.
Heck, long time, Jimmy.
Long time.
Day one, you requested this guy.
Him and Kevin were the first two people I wanted.
I know.
Kev's a lot harder to track down, but it's
the ghosts of the Cooper,
yeah.
the Cooper ghosts.
The Cooper
spring
ghost.
into the summer is as you can hear from my voice, it's a lot of lacrosse, So this is my first kind of week of not having practice or game like at this time. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you guys for having me on.
Sure. So I'd like to get to know you a little bit, just about you, first of all, and then we'll ask you a bunch of questions that Jimmy and I created and came up with, and
Sounds fun.
I think are a lot of fun. Some of these we've used with other coaches, and we just like to get your thoughts on that as well. But anyways, let's start with you as an individual. So you were born in Maryland.
Correct.
And tell us a little bit about your childhood. And
was born in Crofton, Maryland, suburb of kind of the Annapolis, Baltimore, D.C. area. My dad was a football, basketball player. My mom is one of 5. My dad's one of 8. Nobody in the family had ever played lacrosse because we were kind of more on the D.C. side of things, more towards the city. Me and my brother, when I was about 5, he was 6. Our neighbor showed us lacrosse for the first time, and we immediately got sticks, immediately started playing, fell in love, made lifelong friends through it. Back then in the Maryland, the youth lacrosse scene has changed a ton nationwide, but back then it was like you played for your town, you played with your teammates that were from your middle school and from so you just had this great experience where it's every spring this is what you did, and there was pickup in the off season, but nothing too crazy. Played other sports. Me and my brother both. My brother, he was 6'5" in 7th grade, and so he was a very, very good player early. I was a little bit more of a late bloomer. I became a pretty good player in 8th grade, and then continued to develop through high school. And we both went to Archbishop Spalding High School, which is now a national power. I think they finished in the top 15 in the country this spring. They made the MIAA championship, which is
really a big deal.
Were they a powerhouse back then too?
No, we were terrible. The first 2 years that Spalding never made the MIAA conference playoffs, which is a kind of an achievement in its own right. Only 6 teams of the 12 get in. Was my sophomore then senior years in high school. And so now the coach there is a guy named Evan Hockel, who would be great to get on this show. He was a former teammate of mine, Salisbury player, fantastic young coach. And so I'm very proud of that program from afar. Me and my brother were both lucky enough to get recruited to the University of Maryland. We went there together, had a ton of success, both like individually, but mostly as a team. Got to play for Coach Tillman and some of these other fantastic coaches that I'm sure I'll be able to elaborate on later.
Sure.
That really kind of molded
You got
me.
a couple awards. You were, a high school All-American, weren't
I
you?
was, yeah, I was.
I read that somewhere.
Yeah, I was good.
It's pretty impressive. Jimmy never was, so.
No, I was All-American.
I was actually
nothing.
the best achievement I think that I've ever had, and the personal achievement was the hardest thing to do is become a U.S. Lacrosse All-American from the MIAA, because the MIAA only gets 5 players, and so like if you're one of the 5 best players in the MIAA, you get U.S. Lacrosse All-American. It's harder to make that than it is to make like anything, you know. So I did that my senior year. I was super honored. Got to play in the Under Armour All-American game like on ESPN, and you know, it was a fantastic experience, man.
So you're saying the U.S. Lacrosse All-American has a certain amount of slots
per like region.
per
Yeah.
region.
So
okay.
like you know, so Maryland's like Maryland Anne Arundel County Public School gets like 10 because they have that many like kids or team, whatever, however they divvy it up. The MIAA conference, which is without a doubt the best conference top to bottom in the country, you get 5 spots for it. So like that, making that, it was like really cool. You know, I was on the Tewaaraton team.
Congratulations.
All that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it was
indeed.
it was a solid, 17 years ago now, but it's like,
It's all right, man.
So when you were in, let's go back a little bit to youth lacrosse. When you were in youth lacrosse, were there like, I mean, you said you played for your town. Were there coaches that stood out? Were there guys that mentored you and Kevin, obviously? But
for sure. The the thing about growing up back in that area, my first coach was a guy named Pete Stanford, who was a Naval Academy grad, played on the Navy team. Like, there's not just a dad going out there that doesn't know what's going on, right? And so like you get really great coaching from a young age. And then my 8th grade lacrosse team, we from my team, I had a guy, John Hogan, who's now he played at Cornell. Now he's the offensive coordinator at Georgetown. Pat Harbison, who you guys got to get on this show, who played at University of Virginia, played 5 years in the PLL for the Redwoods, and he is now the head coach of Brophy Prep in Arizona.
Nice.
3 straight chase.
Oh, okay.
Shout out Pat, 3 straight state championships. And then I also had Jake Haley, Georgetown goalie, Quinn Haley, Maryland attackman, and Pat Manley at Penn State attackman. That was just on our town rec team. So it was
amazing.
It was nuts, like it was a very conconcentrated like group. And so we won states, obviously.
Oh yeah. Doing on amazing things.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Your brother's dog's name is Bowie.
Bowie.
Is that because of Bowie, Maryland? Or?
But it's pronounced Bowie, Maryland.
Bowie,
Back-
yeah.
Although it's spelled like David Bowie's name, but that's my parents' hometown. My parents both went to Bowie High School. It's in Prince George's County, Maryland. Met there,
Okay.
high school sweethearts.
California guy.
Yeah.
So that's not that's not where you grew up.
No, Bowie was where like we were born. My
Okay.
parents like moved when we were like 2 and 3 years old to our house in Crofton that they still live at to this day.
Where's Crofton in relation to?
It's right next to Bowie. Crofton's like a 20 minutes from DC, 25 minutes from Baltimore, and like 15 minutes from Annapolis, kind of, if you can picture that triangle.
So if you had stayed there, would you have gone to like Severna Park? Or?
I would have gone to Arundel High School, which
Sure, I know
which
Arundel,
was,
yeah.
which was their lacrosse program's gotten a lot better now. There's a guy, Kevin Necessary, but he wasn't the coach then. My story to get out to California was actually tied into me going to Spalding, because that was like the private school in the area. The lacrosse was up and coming, but not very good. And then my freshman year, a guy named Zach Burke came in and was the JV coach. And then after
Was that Zach from 3D?
That's Zach from 3D.
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
So then Zach was
That's crazy.
my head JV coach. We did well on JV as a freshman. As my freshman year, my brother was obviously on varsity. Fired the varsity coach, promoted Zach, and so then Zach was my varsity coach for the next 3 seasons. And that's when we made 2 playoffs. I think he won Anne Arundel County Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
So then me and Kev are in college. Zach moves out to San Marcos, and he's like,
okay.
so he's like,
Know Zach really well.
yeah, Zach.
Yeah.
And Zach's like like, Brian, Kev, come out, let's work at camp. And like we landed, he took us to Cardiff, and we were like, we're never leaving
You
here.
did a lot of work with 3D early on.
Yeah, early on.
The early days.
Early days. That was
that.
and that was a great experience. Like, like as far as that was like an actual corporation, lacrosse. Like, and you learned a lot. Guy Jamie Monroe, super innovative.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously he's still a huge figure in the game, just technique and stuff. And so I got to learn from Zach, coach under Zach, and Zach obviously in his time out here. There's 3 coaches, the last 3 head coaches in the last, I think, 12 years to win
back to back.
Win a CIF championship. He went back to back.
I called both of those games. I was the announcer of both of those games.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Poway.
Big upsets, too, at the time.
Yeah, they were big upsets at the time.
Yeah.
One was, I think, against Bishops, maybe?
Well, they were both against Torrey.
Torrey? Oh, okay. Bishops was Del Norte or somebody else was playing there. But anyways, I called all those games, but I do remember Zach winning both those games.
Oh, yeah.
Which were big upsets and a big deal when Poway was really a power.
Yeah. Zach's, I learned a ton from Zach. There's nobody better at creating the us versus them mentality.
Yeah.
Period. Like he's just he's then now at Westlake in Austin.
Had
a ton of success there. His son Ethan is starting defensive end for University of Texas Austin football team, which is pretty rad.
Yeah, Zach was a big boy, so I'm sure his son is a big boy too.
Yeah.
I think I remember.
But
sweet.
Anyway, so played and were drafted and played in the MLL.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I was Mr. Irrelevant of the MLL draft.
Nice.
They did the back then.
Just
they
like
did
Brock Purdy.
Exactly. So they did the draft. Before your senior year of college, and so Chesapeake Bayhawks, my local team, coached by like Dave Cottle and Spencer Ford at the time, I get the phone call and I was like, I thought the draft ended like 2 hours ago, dude. I stopped watching, but so I got to play for the Chesapeake Bayhawks. That first year, I played in like 3 games, and then I broke my wrist. My brother was already living out in California. He'd moved because he graduated college a year before me. So I broke my wrist. I had to have surgery. After surgery, I was getting paid by the injured reserve by the MLL. So I was like, Kev, I'm coming to live on your couch in Carlsbad. And I got paid every Friday for just literally hanging out here. And then that's kind of how I made the move full time.
That's an interesting story, getting out here.
Yeah.
Just go break your wrist. And then you're good.
Yeah.
You got to be a professional athlete, too.
So.
Do it on somebody else's dime, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, no, it was actually kind of like best case scenario.
That's cool.
And back then, you're right out of college, like a $600 paycheck every Friday. You're like, this is amazing.
This is unreal.
Well, 600 won't get you very far these days.
No.
Back then, that was a heck of a deal.
Couch and a couple McDonald's cheeseburgers and a 12-pack of beer for
12 packs, all you need, right?
I was on an air mattress in the corner.
So that's how you got out to California then. Yep. So you did a little couch surfing with your brother.
Yep.
Was he at LCC at that point?
He was not when I first got out here, and then within 8 months of me being here, he got the LCC job. So I was actually living down in Pacific Beach, kind of doing the right out of college, thing that one tends to do down there.
Yeah.
And he called me one day and was like, "Dude, you gotta move up here. I just got the LCC job. Like, we're starting our own club. Let's do it." And so I was like, "All right, cool." So came up, and then that was 2017, and
that's when the Bulls started then, right?
Yeah. Bulls started then, and then our first spring together, we had an unbelievable 2017 LCC team. Group of seniors.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
I want to hear about your college days a little bit too, though.
Okay, so
are we gonna go back to that?
Yeah. No, I mean,
because you played with some pretty. You didn't graduate some heavy hitters, but you were like 3 years away. So they were all freshmen when you were a senior.
Yeah,
championship team.
The class that finally won Maryland championship, I was senior when they were freshmen. My class at Maryland had guys like Mike Earhart, Mike Chanenchuk, Nico Amato, fantastic goalie, Emmett Cahill, Rustin Bryant. Like, we were solid class. And my high school story, I was an offensive player in high school, and I got to college, and as it's Tommy will find out this spring when you get to college, everybody's really, really good, and so it's like my freshman year, we had 17 seniors that were on the Maryland team, and I think 7 of them ended up going on to play on Team USA. We were really good.
Wow.
So there was no chance that I was getting plenty playing time. So it was a scout team, and we were playing Duke in like one of the 4 times we played Duke that season, and CJ Costabile was the guy back then with the long ball during the faceoffs. So they were like, Brian, why don't you go try to do that? Like, go be CJ. I picked up a long ball for the first time in my life, like went out and had an awesome day at scout team practice, and then they do a hard hat award, won the hard hat that day, and then Coach Warren, who was the defensive coordinator at the time, pulled me aside at the practice, was like, you're a long pole now. And so then my sophomore year, going into the summer, my sophomore year, came back and started every game at close defense as a sophomore in 2012.
Long pole or close defense?
Okay. Not that fast, So started every game, close defense. We lost the national championship to Loyola that year. And then when I got back.
So you had a finals appearance in your junior year?
Freshman, sophomore year. Lost back-to-back national championships.
Oh my God!
Then, it was brutally at Virginia, then Loyola, and then junior year we lost to we drew Rob Pinnell's Cornell team in the first round of the playoffs, so we lost that game somehow. Like that seeding worked out, and then my senior year, my junior and senior year, I went back to short stick D-midi because guys like Casey Ikeda and Matt Dunn and Tim Muller all showed up, who all ended up being first-team All Americans that closed defense. So I went back to playing shorty. Played that for the next 2 years. Ended up losing to Notre Dame in the Final Four my senior year. But 3 Final Four appearances. Playing for
that was
our
2014.
14, yeah.
14, yeah.
Yep.
Wow. That was a good run of lacrosse. Those 4 years.
That was a great run.
That was a really good run of lacrosse.
Didn't 2015 you get back into the Final Four? I mean, you weren't there.
Yes, I wasn't there.
Weren't you back in the final?
They
final
won.
Game, right?
Denver,
right?
Yeah. So now
I
actually,
see you're Mike Reese.
My 2 best friends out here are Mike Reese and Wes Berge.
Wes, right? They're both on that team.
And so they were both on that team, and I was in the crowd. I went and I was like, "Oh, we're playing Denver in the national championship. We're definitely winning this one."
Yeah.
And then Wes proceeded to score the first 3 shots of the game, and it was like, "Oh no." At that time, I didn't know those guys.
I remember Denver having a great game against Notre Dame in that semifinal. And Mike Reese actually shot with his long pole to score to tie the game.
It was diving leaner, bar down.
And I remember him saying that Tierney was not happy with it.
No, that's Mike Reese would be an all-time great podcast that goes against. Just all you could do is break down that one play for 3 hours, and he could do it for you.
We do need to get Mike on.
So go along those lines. That is a hell of a grind.
Yeah.
Those 4 years. How was that? I mean, physically, how were you? Were you just?
I was really lucky. Look, I never got hurt until after college. When I broke the wrist, I kept myself in pretty good shape, but it's just, you guys are 200 pounds slashing each other with metal poles, like injuries happen. So I consider myself lucky. If you're going to get hurt, do it in the pros. Because the college career is still kind of the most special part of it. It was a fantastic run. And then my senior year, I got to have guys like Matt Rambo, Colin Heacock, Tim Rotance, Tim Muller, Isaiah Davis-Allen, Connor Canizero, like that. This freshman class that came in, we were all like, oh my God, these guys are all better than us.
That was a good freshman class.
So we knew they were going to be special. So then when they ended up winning it in 2017, that was like pretty cool for all of us in my grade, because it's like, hey, we felt like we, at least played a part in welcoming them into the Terps family, and they finally kind of broke that Red Sox-esque curse.
Yeah. So you didn't get to play with your brother.
No, I did. My brother was only 1 year older. We played 3 years together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We played. Yeah, he's 15 months older, so we played 3 years together. Made both those national championships together.
Wow. Was he the starting attackman?
His senior year started attack. His sophomore and junior year, he was like in the top 4 midfielders. He was a fantastic player. He could do a little bit of like everything on offense. And senior year ended up being our leading scorer at the attack, and while getting covered by guys like Tucker Durkin and all everything dudes. And
That's a crazy. I remember that run of lacrosse was some of the best like playoffs to watch. It was insane.
Yeah.
They're all good, but that was just there was some
kind of a mini dynasty kind of thing.
It was really good lacrosse.
Well,
for sure.
And Coach Tillman is like, I could spend 3 hours talking about him.
Sure.
Like, he is the best coach I've ever been around, the most prepared, like what he's done over the last 10, 12 years at Maryland. People don't remember Maryland, me and my brother committed there. They hadn't made a Final Four in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like now they're just in the Final Four every single
Yeah.
year. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like, and the assistant coaches change, people swap out, but like Tills is the consistency, and he just always prepares his team to make late season runs. It's pretty incredible.
Well, it's nice to be able to take a guy like that you played for, and knowing that you wanted to coach after you were finished with college and the pros, and be able to use him as a mentor, and probably using your brother as a mentor
For
too.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about how both their philosophies work into your philosophy.
It's a great question. Coach Tills is the most like he prepares and scouts and like sees schemes and like things that like I compare him a lot to like Bill Belichick. It's like if there's like a rule, like he's gonna know about it and the other coaches aren't gonna know about it, right? Like it's like he's going to talk about the right in the clear for an hour that week leading up into prep. And I've talked to you only get to play on one team in college, so I was just this is the norm. You talk to guys after college and they're like, we didn't do any of that type of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So we never went into a game not feeling like we 100% know what they're going to do and what we need to do in order to win, which is very cool. My brother is very much like a player's coach. Like he empowers his players. He was not going to be like, hey, we're going to be set play after set play after set play. It's like we want our guys to go out there and like make plays. Mm-hmm. And I'm more of a defensive guy, and so like coaching offense, I'm always just like, it's just like a different mindset, you know what I mean? And so we worked really, really well together, over at LCC and then through the years with the Bulls programs. And, I still wouldn't want to cover him one-on-one, but it's like.
Nice.
6'5" is tough.
No, that would be tough. That's just a little tough.
It's a tough matchup.
That's a tough matchup.
Shoot over you.
That's a tough matchup going right over the top of you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been coaching now for how many years?
It's
10,
basically
12,
been like the only job I've ever had.
Yeah,
Me and my brother started Cooper lacrosse camps. I was 17, he was 18. We were going into our freshman and sophomore years of college, respectively, and kind of fell in love with it.
So you got about 10 plus years, maybe.
I'm 32 now, so 14.
14 years.
And I've always been doing the club stuff.
14 years.
Yeah.
So tell us, speaking of club, tell us a little bit about GWB. Tell us a little bit about, I know you did a stint with the Mustangs, the local Encinitas Mustangs. Obviously, West Coast Stars, the Bulls. Tell us a little bit about your youth lacrosse.
Yeah,
coaching.
The youth lacrosse is something that I'm extremely passionate about, and I tried kind of all levels. I was up at Concordia, University of Irvine, doing the MCLA stuff.
Yep.
I was with Bulls with LCC, and enjoyed working with the high school guys. But I just don't think that there's a lot of people in the San Diego lacrosse community that were investing into the youth, right? With the clubs and stuff, everybody wants to post a college commitment and take the credit and all that stuff.
That's for sure.
But it's a lot of it is who put a stick in that kid's hand, you know what I mean? And who kind of guided him through the formative years. Because out here in San Diego, there's a lot of options. You got golf, water polo, surf, skating.
Yeah, there's a lot of distractions.
There's a million sports you can do, and you can go to the beach and every day if you want to. So it's to get a kid to choose lacrosse as his passion and pursue it. That's something that I found that I had a talent to do. And me and Wesley Berge became buddies when he moved out here. And we were doing some Bulls coaching together, and then COVID happened. And basically with COVID, the early rules were you had 10 group pods of 10 people that could be on the field at one time together, right?
Right.
And so me and Wes were like, okay, perfect. Let's start doing some training groups, and so we got groups of 10 together. We were doing it on parking lots in Vista with tennis balls. We were doing it in the front yards of people's houses.
So
we were
cool.
bouncing all over the place, probably violating, a lot of state and federal laws at the time. But it was the kids wanted to do it. The families wanted to do it. Thank God nobody ended up getting really sick. So we started doing these training groups, and the first one was a 2025, 24 group. So we had Jimmy's son coming out there a little bit, guys like Bo Hoganson and other stuff. But the 25s were kind of the team I was coaching with the Bulls. And so, the 12 to 15 kids that were really taking lacrosse seriously in that age group, me and Wes got together with them twice a week for 18 months during COVID and doing mostly tennis ball stuff and mostly skill and technique and small-sided games, stealing a lot of stuff kind of the soccer development, and that those kids all got really good, dude. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, that's very cool.
One of my favorite things is as an LCC announcer, Leo Nielsen was a kid that was in this GWB training group. He was a goalie back then.
Cool.
We played so much 3x, tennis ball stuff, and he was like always one of the best players. And so like him coming out this year as a junior and playing short stick and putting up 60 points or whatever.
Incredible numbers.
I think I was the only guy in San Diego not surprised, me and Wes, because we were like, dude, that kid's always been able to handle the short stick.
Incredible.
And he's an insane goalie.
He's an insane goalie. He's just incredible.
Like, he's an insane goalie.
That's cool.
Their older brother, Finn's awesome too. Older brother Heath, they're a fantastic family.
Yeah.
It's
super.
So yeah, that's kind of how GWB started, and then we were like, okay,
What's
after
GWB stand for?
Great White Buffalo.
Great White Buffalo.
Great White
Did
Buffalo.
You know that? You probably knew that.
I did, because I was one of the guys that was getting dragged to, what's that park? Stanley Park? Or what's the park over?
In San Marcos?
The one with the 2 hockey rinks.
Kid Carson.
Kid Carson.
Yeah, that was the only place during COVID that was just like, we don't give a hell about it.
You guys did
Yeah.
a ton of indoor
Kid
stuff there
Carson.
with 3D.
A ton.
Over at Kid Carson.
Ton.
Way
Yeah,
back. And
way
I'm talking
back.
a number of years ago.
That was like
But that was like kind of home base for that indoor lacrosse,
that
right?
was what Burke's like passion.
Yeah, that was his thing,
Like,
right.
and frankly, I think it like really worked. Like that era of San Diego lacrosse produced a lot of like talented players and really skilled guys.
There was some good crew in there.
It was awesome, and
those were like 2018, maybe.
yeah,
around
2018. Yeah, that,
there were
like,
some good players.
Those Poway championships.
Those Poway championship kids were in
those
there.
kids were out there playing box like against
right?
Dory, and like they're all one-handed. It didn't matter. Their sticks were so good, and they were physical and tough.
Incredible stick skills. Yeah.
So then, to finish with the GWB thing, it was
Sorry,
like we went to we were like, let's form more training groups, and just find the 10 best 2028 graduation year we can find, and train them together, and then do it the same and keep moving on, because the club lacrosse world can be a pretty ugly, like murky place, and like me and Wes's passions were always aligned with like instruction and technique and like helping kids get better. Once you put a scoreboard out there, the kind of what matters kind of gets lost. So we started doing that, and then sure enough, kind of like the other clubs were like, oh wait, that's a great idea. Now we're starting our own training, and you have to do our training instead of GWB. So we kind of reluctantly got into the having club teams game.
Yeah.
But it's been fantastic. We do like almost 12 months a year, and it's like the kids to be able to see the retention rate we have, and have these kids like grow up from 4th grade through like now we have our 28s is our first team. They are going into like year 4. They're entering high school.
9th grade, yeah.
And it's like, so we'll kind of see what if it worked or not, because if they're going to be really good players in high school. So
yeah, my comparison would be like the CrossFit of lacrosse. A bazillion touches, which every youth player needs. They just need touches.
Yep.
And it's quick and efficient, and it doesn't eat up your entire afternoon. You're just in and out. The kids are sweating their asses off, 1,000 touches of the ball, and they're having a blast.
Yeah.
We've never done anything with GWB that's longer than 90 minutes, and like we always do like 20-30 minutes of 3x at the end, because if you can, those kids play harder in the 3x game than in any drill you could possibly create.
Yeah.
Ever. Like it's like that's like, and it's also, frankly, me and my brother grew up in the yard playing with our buddies with, wasn't 3x mini sticks, and that was like, we probably played more mini sticks than we did organized games growing up.
Yeah.
And, if you can catch a tennis ball, shoot a tennis ball, pass a tennis ball, crossball's easy,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Repetition.
Yeah.
Wall ball.
No,
Simple
it was good.
simple
It was
stuff.
good. It's fun.
Yeah.
Simple stuff. All right, let's move on a little bit. So you coached at LCC with your brother, and then Concordia. Tell us quickly about that.
So Concordia, I knew nothing about the MCLA club lacrosse world, but I got an opportunity to go up to Irvine and be a head coach. I think I was 23, 24 years old at the time, maybe, and the team was good. I was only like 4 years older than 2 years older than some of them, but they were moving from MCLA Division II to MCLA Division I. MCLA Division I is like where Chapman and San Diego State and those schools, and so I got up there and we were moving up in the ranks, and it was definitely a challenge, but luckily, like the guy, Coach Bren, who was the coach before me, who's still involved, he's the Santa Margarita coach up in Orange County. He left me a great roster, and we had a ton of success. We lost 2 games that whole season, and it was to Coach Hartley at Chapman. Like I ended up winning Southwestern Lacrosse Conference Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I saw that. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Pretty cool at 24. You know, I think I was the youngest guy in the room by like 10 years. And then, but frankly, I bit off a little bit more than I could chew. Running a college program, whether it's like NCAA or MCLA, like it's not, especially I'd never even been a head coach before. So it was like, it wasn't going to be like
not
sustainable.
An 8th grade team.
No, it's like, you're dealing
Fill
with.
out the form.
You're dealing with fundraising. You're dealing with academics. Wow. You're dealing with like, recruiting. You're dealing with getting assistant coaches. You're dealing, there's scheduling, all this stuff that goes into the college stuff. And now that program is in obviously much better hands. Coach Foss is,
Jesse's running that, right? Yeah.
I was like, this isn't for me. Coach Jesse took it over. Now they're an NCAA D2 program, having a ton of success in their first season. Won the MCLA National Championship last year.
And then went D2 this year.
Then went D2, right? Yep. Almost came 30 seconds away from winning the RMAC over Colorado Mesa, who they lost to by 14, I think, earlier in the year. Like, so that's Coach Foss for you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So you left there in 17?
I left there 17 LCC, 18 into 19. I was at Concordia, and then came back down and was basically like, at that point, the Bulls was being, expanding, becoming more successful. My brother's like, come be the youth director. And so I came down, I took the teams, I think Tommy was like 6th, 7th grade.
Yeah, when they were going out to Arizona because they wouldn't let him play.
We
made that drive down. So like we had like 3 or 4 Bulls teams that were in middle school, and then my brother was running the Bulls high school stuff, and really proud of the kids that came out of that program. The 24 class, obviously.
Incredible.
Tommy.
And that 24 class was crap to begin with, and then you converted them. I mean, they went from like losing every single tournament, to winning every single tournament.
Yeah, I hate losing. It's like, and
I mean, really, the players didn't change.
It didn't hurt that Tommy moved down from LA and joined. That was a nice Tommy.
Jack Follett helped out a little.
Jack Follett helped out. But guys like Stellan and the thing is, I think what separates lacrosse from a lot of the other sports is that like to reach a very high level, like a top 5% high level, like athleticism and talent matters, but like if you want to be really good at this sport, like all it takes is like you to put the time in. Like you don't have to be 6'7", you don't have to be able to run a 4.4. It's like some of the best players I know, like if you walk past them on the street, like you'd be like, is that guy a contractor or something?
Yeah.
Is that guy, it's like, so,
nice.
Guys like that just put the work in. And so, those early Bulls teams that are in the youth side of things with the 24s and then 25s, like that really kind of ignite. Like I did a lot for them, you could say, but like they really did more for me. Like I realized that, that's like a niche and like an area that not a lot of people are willing to do is the middle school and the youth stuff. And if I can do it well, then it's something that I can, make a living doing and kind of help change kids' lives. And so, and then shout out to that Bulls 25 team. We just got our 10th college commit from that team, which is, there was only 22 guys on that team, and Leo Nielsen probably is not going to be far behind. Finn,
25s,
but we have, Jackson Schaefer, we got like Lincoln Hare. I mean, the list goes on. It was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's very cool. So,
and it's not like your net is this big, huge net pulling from other states. You're just pulling from San Diego County pretty much.
Yeah.
With a pepper with a couple players outside.
Yeah,
county.
GWB, we have like 95% of our program is basically Encinitas South in San Diego. We have the 1 or 2, goalie that lives in like the middle of Nevada that they don't have a club team. That like he comes out and plays and like. But I'm really passionate. This is my home. Like, I want to raise my children here. I want the lacrosse to be great here.
Yeah.
By the time my kids are coming up, not that it's not great. I just want to help it get better.
Yeah.
So, the more people that are investing in the development of the youth stuff, it's a rising tide type thing.
Yeah. So, so you go from the Bulls, and then you went back into high school last year.
Yes.
Or this year.
Yeah. So I did a stint with the Mustangs, and it was awesome. That's like. I think the Encinitas Mustangs is like the oldest. I believe it's the oldest, like longest operating club.
It's been around a long time.
Guys like Jody Stilsdrop, Jack Mangelsdorf.
Oh yeah,
like
Mangelsdorf was the pioneer on that.
Shout out Mr. Reese. Mike Reese's dad was like on the board, and so
yeah.
I was like honored to be able to take a part in that, and like I was able to coach like the 7th, 8th team, and for a couple years, and it was awesome because then it's like those kids all just then went on and joined like the LCC program with my brother the next year, and so really great time. But I felt like it was time to get back into the high school coaching, and Coach Cepeda over at Bishops is a good friend of mine. He's a wonderful guy, and frankly, I'm a defensive coach, and he had like a fantastic goalie and 3 sophomore defensemen that, including his son, that I was like foaming at the mouth to get my hands on. So
we need a defensive coach.
And so like he brought
a good one.
He brought me in, and those kids made me look really good this spring, and it's led to like the Cathedral opportunity, and the Bishops families. I'd never spend any time down in La Jolla. You know me, I'm a North County guy. It's like I don't get down there that much, but unbelievable place, unbelievable family. Steve's built a great program. It's not looking forward to having to play him next year.
Yeah. Very cool. So, I mean, we went down and played at Bishops this year, La Costa Canyon, and
you took it to us.
That was a fun game for us.
They were ready.
But Bo Hoganson he coached GWB with me. I've worked with him for years. I consider him a friend. He shot like 6 for 6 against me. I was like, hey, buddy, could you like miss one? Did you miss one, Bo? Dude?
We were all pretty happy that night, I guess. I was down there, and Jimmy.
They were fired up. I mean, everybody has their night, and they had that. Night.
So let's move on to the Dons.
Tommy didn't have a bad game either.
Tommy had a good game. Let's move on to the Dons. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the program, upcoming, what kind of players do you have? I mean, what's your philosophy? What's your thoughts?
So it's I basically got hired like the last day of school for Cathedral. So it was like I haven't had the chance to really meet with the players yet, but the administration over there's a relatively new athletic director, young guy, very like passionate about sports. It's obviously a school that cares like immensely about athletic success as well as the academic stuff. The campus is stunning. I can't wait to get in there and get involved. I played against them twice this year with Bishops, and they have some really talented kids. They have kid Lance Piagiulio who I think Tommy's played with for
That's right. You got him one more year.
One more year.
Oh,
I wish longer. But I coached him for a long time, and there's probably 10, 12 other kids who I've gotten the chance to like coach over the years that are there. And so I'm really excited, man. It's they obviously have like had very high standards for success at that school. It's right down the road from Torrey Pines, who's I think won 7 championships in a row now, and so it's exciting for me because the public schools are so good in San Diego, lacrosse wise and academically, right? That like you're a kid who grows up or lives in Encinitas, it's like you go Mustangs, you go right to LCC. It's like it's a very like straightforward path. But there's a lot of program or a lot of areas that the lacrosse isn't quite as developed as it is like coastally, right? Like even Oceanside or like Vista or like a Chula Vista.
But you know what's really nice, and Jimmy knows that I've done the championships, the CIF championships. I've announced it for the last 10 years probably. Is the addition of Division III.
Yeah.
Because that gives a chance of a team like West Hills
for sure
to go and win a championship, to watch those kids just be so elated, so excited about winning a Division III lacrosse championship. It's amazing to see. And as the announcer and getting to watch all that, announcing every kid's name, it was no different than Torrey Pines winning the Open Division. I am telling you, in terms of the families, the school, the administrators, the kids, the players, it was just like winning the Open Championship. And I'm so glad they went to a D3 because West Hills was never going to beat a Del Norte, and they were. No. I mean, it was just going to be hard for them. Maybe now in the future they might, but it's really nice to be able to bring those teams to be able to play for a championship.
Those in those areas too that like have kids that want to take lacrosse, that they want to compete for Open. It's like Open championships. It's like, well, Cathedral's an option for them, which is great. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to your public school, but I went to a Catholic high school and my family's Catholic. It's like Cathedral's a place that makes sense for me.
Yeah.
But to your point about those divisions, it's like Bishops, 5 years ago, something like won the D1 championship, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like that's kind of boosted and elevated their program. Now they're consistently a top 4 team. You know, it's like La Jolla a couple years ago. I think moving to the 6-team open division was also really smart because it makes that D1 championship very, very competitive.
Very competitive.
And, you know, the more people that are getting to get to the playoffs and make playoff runs, like the better the lacrosse is.
Absolutely. And it's just the excitement, the energy,
Yeah.
the wanting to get better, the wanting to strive for a championship.
Yeah.
And if you've got a team that you're on that you just know we're going to lose a lot, or we can't play the bigger schools or whatever, you know, have a chance to play for a championship at a lower level, which is nice, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Cathedral's really nice facilities. I think they have the best lights in lacrosse. They're the best as far as watching a game. You can see the ball really well. You basically have a beautiful canvas to paint a picture with. What does it look like? What are you looking at first day? When do you get to talk to the players? When do you talk to the athletic director? When do you get an office?
Yeah, I've gone in. I will not get an office, but I'll be on campus like as much as possible. You know, I've gone in and met with Noah Stevens, the AD, a couple times, and just to talk through and you know, the amount of support and the amount of just being okay with me asking 1,000 questions has been like really, really encouraging. And we're going to try to get the players together sometime in August. You know, Cathedral has a massive football program. I mean, they have, I think, 200 boys playing football at the school every year.
Oh, wow.
Which is more boys than I think are at Bishop's High School total, you know? So it's like,
that's big.
Coach Doyle is the football coach there. He's a legend. I'm kind of getting the opportunity. I'm like shadowing him a little bit this fall and just kind of going to see, you know, what their strength and conditioning and what their off season looks like. And yeah, the facilities and the, you know, just the way that stadium's laid out, like the football games this fall, I'm excited to go to. I can't wait to you know, to get my feet wet in the community. You know,
Yeah,
nice,
cool.
nice.
It's like you have a home now, and you can invest.
You
in
can
your
stay
future.
there for
sure.
Yeah.
I can get
Invest in
there
it.
from my house without having to get on the 5, which is
Nice,
huge.
nice.
You know,
Yeah,
the
that's
back
awesome.
way.
By the way, Jimmy, you're the only guy, because you're a producer, that would know how good the lights were, as opposed to our lights here.
They are
Yeah.
great lights.
They are.
That's pretty interesting. You noticed that?
You can see the ball.
Guys, other guys like, okay, but a producer like you, the
No.
guy lives with the lights.
He's right.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, you're right.
They're-
LCC's lights can be iffy.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's
There's
like-
dead spots.
Bishop's,
They're definitely.
Bishop's didn't have lights. Torrey's is like solid, but no, like Cathedral, it's like you're like, wow, this is, you know.
They're the new LED lights in the ball. I mean, it looks. There's not a dead spot on the whole field. So
Yeah, that's
that
nice.
alone is worth it.
All right, let's talk a little bit about philosophy a little bit more. So you've coached at the youth level, you've coached at the high school level, you've coached at the collegiate level. Aside from the fact that there are physical differences between those age groups, what is your what is it different to you between those three groups? What do you like? What do you dislike? Or just tell us a little bit about that.
It's a great question. The youth level, the number one thing that we focus on with GWB is like, and this is something that we've grown to do, is like we do at least for 40 minutes of ground balls every single practice, because the ball's going to be on the ground a lot when you're in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, right? And so
all
it's
about
like,
possession, right?
It's all about possession, and the team that's going to come up with more tough ground balls is going to win the game.
A better opportunity to score.
For sure. And like
Simple.
the scheme stuff and any of that, we try to not have any set plays through like 7th, 8th grade, like, you know, because it's like we want them to make the decisions, right? And so we try to follow like the 80-20 rule of practice of 80% play, 20% talk, like, and get everybody's moving constantly. But like schematically, it's like we want them to play the right way as far as being unselfish, doing all this. And, you know, we tell guys, hey, you clear through it this time, but it's like we're not running a double pass down, pick down into a mumbo or anything. None of that higher level stuff, like, you know, really resonates with the middle school kids. It's like, can you develop your individual skills? Are you getting tougher? Are you getting better? Like, what type of player are you going to enter high school in? Because then when you're in high school, now you got practice 5 days a week in the spring. You got film. You got, like, great coaches that are going to be installing offenses and defenses, all that stuff. But we just try not to waste time during the kids' formative, like, developing years, elementary, middle, talking about that stuff. It's like we want them to go out there and play and make decisions and compete every time. I love doing it in the high school side. There's nothing that I like more than, like, as a defensive coach, scouting, trying to come up with a game plan, trying to figure out how we can take away certain things. That's like a part that I'm really passionate about. So it's nice to, go out to, I coach the 2032 GWB team, and it's like, we're going to get ground balls and that's it. Like, the team's done really well because of it. It's, and ground balls doesn't change. The team that gets more of them normally wins.
So comparatively between youth, high school, college, what is the biggest difference? And I know the physical thing is, but what's the biggest difference?
There's a lot less like tears during practice in high school and beyond, right? Like the little guys, it's like they get, 80-pound
That's a
kid.
good one. We've never heard that, Jimmy.
Yeah.
It's like an 80-pound kid hits a 50-pound kid.
I
Like
love
the
that.
50-pound kid's gonna like not feel good, and so like, trying to instill toughness without like having like injuries. The other thing about the little kids though, they're like rubber. You throw them off a roof, they bounce. They're fine. Like it's there's less of like that injury. I think as you get older, like you're in college, a lot of a coach's job is like managing, like how are your legs? Like what's the stamina level at? Like how much wear and tear do you have on your body? Like are you going to be prepared and ready for the game? On the younger side, it's like trying to develop as many of the players as you can, because we go to these 4 or 5 game in 24-hour tournaments, and it's like, so you need all 20 guys on the team to be able to catch and throw. But it just varies. It just varies group by group, kids by kids. There's one team that I have that I think there's 6 younger brothers of kids I've coached on that team.
Yeah.
That team stick works awesome at a young age, right? And so it's like we can be a little bit more advanced, but some of the stuff you learn from 3D was like, hey, if your kids can't catch the ball yet at practice, if you're working with 6, 7-year-olds, don't make them catch it. Start drills with the ball in their sticks and let them shoot, because like not catching the ball is not fun, and you want them to want to come back to practice. You want them to be like, oh, I'm looking forward to lacrosse.
Right.
And like, so kind of our goal with GWB is at the end of every practice, like I want them to like get in the car and be like, wow, I can't wait for Thursday.
Yeah, that's cool. But that's interesting you say that, because so many people we've talked to says at the youth level it's all about fun too.
Yeah.
If you're not having fun, you're not coming back to high school or college.
For sure.
So if you looked at that term fun, is the intensity in high school still fun, but to a more intense degree, and then in college it's even more intense but still fun? How does that fun factor weigh into high school and college? I get it at the youth level because you want that, but in the high school, I guess it has to be fun or they wouldn't continue to play, but it's a different intensity.
There's by the time you get to college, if you're playing high-level college lacrosse, it's very rare for that person to, if you're playing Division I lacrosse, like you love lacrosse. Lacrosse is your version of fun, right? So
right.
I actually asked a question to some of our, like one of our younger teams. I'm like, guys, what's everybody do for fun? Like when they're all
That's
time
cool.
in Fortnite, and like one kid in the back raised his hand is lacrosse, and I was like, I bet that kid's gonna be the best player out of this group, because it's like,
very cool.
People are gonna do really well at something they truly enjoy, and so like I played men's league last night. I'm gonna play men's league again tomorrow night. Like if you love the game and you put the time in and you embrace the parts that might not be as fun, and you can convince yourself that the sprints at the end of practice, like that's fun. It's like that's what separates good from like great, you know what I mean, and separates that next level. I still think having fun off the field, like as you get into high school, college, it's like the more team bonding stuff you do, the better, right? Like go on a spring break trip. You guys go to a beach day, get away from the lacrosse and spend time together. That stuff becomes really, really important.
Okay. That's interesting, because that kind of takes me into my next question. And Jimmy and I talk about this question all the time. Drive or skills? What's more important?
Defensively, drive. Offensively, skills. You know what I mean? It's
that's interesting. We haven't really had that answer. That's cool.
It's like defense. You obviously have to have a baseline skill level, but defense is a lot more of effort, focus, commitment. Even if you're not fast, like if you work on your footwork, you understand your angles. Like you can still stay in front of guys. You know what I mean? Like I cover guys faster than me all the time, right? It's offensively skill matters, but it's kind of tied in where you don't people don't just come out of the womb and, can do behind the backs. It's like the ability to develop those skills is also a little bit different drive.
Interesting.
But, defensively, you have to also get used to, lacrosse. I played short stick D-mid. Like, you're going to get dodged at the D1 level, 35 times a game, and you're going to get slid to 20 times a game, and you have to, not have the ego of being like, don't slide to me. It's like, dude, you're a short stick. You're gonna get beat. We need to go.
Right.
And so just that mindset is kind of a little bit different. I think coaches would rather. I know me. I'd rather take a kid with drive than skill, especially at a younger age, because you can develop the skill. Drive's not something that.
Yeah, it's either innate or it's not. Yeah.
Although I will say that going back to kind of the GWB thing, I think just my observation to kind of add to that is that the kids that are younger are a little more elastic for fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you can instill fundamentals at a younger age, kind of like a golf swing,
For sure.
it sticks later. It is harder to learn fundamentals the older you get.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So-
that's the advantage of the East Coast is that
Sponges.
Yeah.
Everybody, me, my brother, and my sister, the three of us all played Division I lacrosse. Our parents didn't play lacrosse. We're the exception to the rule. It's most people, this was their dad's passion. It's like surfing out here.
Right.
So it's the kids, because they see it at 3, 4, 5 years old subconsciously, they understand it. And for whatever reason, the skills that you learn at a young age, the mechanics, it's once you get set in your ways, you can't really break them, right?
No.
Yeah.
The 20% of the time we spend talking about it at practice, at the 80-20 rule, it's that 20% is basically making sure that there's not some sort of serious mechanical flaw that's going to inhibit a kid from maximizing his potential.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is 50-50 skill. Yeah.
It's 50-50
I like that.
skills.
That's cool.
The best insight so far.
That is one of the best insights we've had. I got to tell you.
That
New
means
head
a lot.
coach.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay,
I agree.
Okay, new head coach.
One thing I will say about Brian, when you walk to a field with Brian and he's leading the team, you're ready because he just takes the world of any pressure. He's just he's just so confident when you go to a game.
There you
it's
go.
He takes the pressure off everybody.
Yeah.
So just that alone from Brian, I was Cathedral, you're getting the head pressure cooker guy that can take pressure off everybody.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's
you
something.
feel safe behind Brian walking to the field.
I appreciate that, man.
Nice.
You're the kids, especially, you're their general. You're taking them into battle. If you're showing weakness or fear or uncertainty, if the guys on D-Day were doing that, we wouldn't have been able to storm those beaches. It's
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Hardest position to coach.
Fogo, and it's not close, because they change the rules every 2 years,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's you don't.
That makes sense.
So it's they change the rules so much that it's and it's such a specialized position that it's the only people who really can coach this are people who are doing it, and that's number one, top tier, no questions asked. I think goalie's also very difficult.
We've heard that a lot too.
Yeah, a lot of dads. Goalie's a very lonely position. You're just in your crease. You don't get to talk to anybody for practice. You'll see 700 shots. It's it's you're, and then just that I think those two are kind of in a separate category. That's why if you look at a lot of the NCAA staffs, they have head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and then the best the biggest best funded programs. All they have a face-off coach and a goalie coach.
Yeah, there you
right?
go. There you go.
Yep.
Okay, so now that you're the head coach, are there any other sports that you encourage your players to play? Because you were a football guy, right?
Yeah, football for sure. I mean, it's I think a lot of, especially depending on the position. If you're a left tackle, it's there's might not be a great position in lacrosse for you to easily translate to, but all the defensive work and the training that we do is basically defensive back drills, being able to get low, stay in your base, short choppy steps, going backwards, being reactive versus proactive, being able to play contact and play physical is a key in lacrosse, even though they've kind of taken the concussion stuff out. I support all GWB, we operate 12 months a year. If a kid's missing a sport or missing stuff for us to go play for a sport in season, I've never given anyone a hard time for that because, you want to keep there's certain things that you learn from other sports that translate to this sport, right? Like, it's like, I wish every one of my kids played golf. It's the hardest, like, mental sport, than to be able to, like, hit a terrible shot and have to walk back up and reset. Like, it's like that type of stuff is really important in athletics. You can't be, like, hard, thinking about the last shot as you're preparing for the next one,
And prepare for the next one.
For sure.
I agree.
But football,
So
for
like
sure.
a kicker in football.
Kicker in football,
Sounds the
dude.
same
That's
way.
just it. It's that's no joke. Football, I mean, basically, soccer is a little bit tougher to translate, although there's obviously exceptions, the Bo Hogans of the world, just because they don't use their hands at all. And lacrosse is a sport that's like very hand.
Yeah.
All the soccer kids are fast and do stuff, but
A little bit of basketball we've heard from guys with the picks and things like that.
basketball's defensively, basketball rotations are the exact same as lacrosse.
Exactly. Slides and things
and
like that.
Passers.
So, anyways, that's cool to know. That's good to know that you're I'm sure there'll be some kids at Cathedral that are playing multi-sports.
I'll take as many of the football kids as I
There
possibly
you-
can.
there you
man.
go.
There's some good football players
Some
on
good
that team
players
last year.
there, man.
For
They
sure.
moved well, and they're big, too.
Yeah.
All right, so Brian, you're been characterized as a relatively intense, aggressive guy, which is good.
Yeah.
Have you ever been thrown out of a game, either as a
No.
player or a coach?
No. But like I think no, but I have taken a bench penalty, but not in like a high school season. First off, because I was an assistant at LCC. If I took a bench penalty when my brother was the head coach, he probably would have punched me in the face, and then
Nice.
and, and frankly,
Brotherly love.
And now that I've been out here for so long, like I'm on, I know all the refs like on a first name basis. I know that they all do. They're never purposely missing stuff, and it's like they're human beings. If you treat them like crap, like then like it's what are you getting out of that? So like I try to be. I've matured like a little bit as a player. I mean, I took a 3-minute non-releasable penalty in men's league last night. I ran through a kid. I was like, but that's that. They used to build you stats.
You still got it.
You still got it, man.
Well, they
Nice.
used to give you trophies for hitting guys like I did last night. Instead, they put you in the penalty box now. So it's like the game's changed a little bit, but I think the intensity at the right time is important. If you're intense all the time, it kind of wears fit. Like we can wear,
We're thin, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
okay, what is? Let me ask you this: what is the craziest thing a parent has either texted you, emailed you, or what?
oh man,
I love this reaction.
Well, I've heard some of the.
It's awesome,
Oh,
man. I
yeah.
love
I
it.
don't remember them, but
I'm trying to think of one that like would not be. You
don't have to give names, just the
I
craziest thing.
did there's a wide spectrum here. Like like a kid that's 42 pounds that wants to. His parents were like, I want him to play up, and I'm like in an age group.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
dude, he'd be the smallest person in his own age group. Like that's like a safety liability. I've gotten the the night before the tournament. Why is my kid not on man up? And I'm like, well, because he's a defenseman. It's like that type of stuff. But for the most part, man, we have like really great families in the GWB program, and we try our best to like kind of educate them on lacrosse. Like we don't move a kid to defense or to goalie or to like have him start learning how to face off without sitting down and being like, yo, like we see certain qualities in him that are going to lead him to be successful. And the great part about like owning the club is that, me and Wes like have the ability to decide who we want to serve and who we don't want to,
Yeah.
I don't get as many of those as I used to.
Yeah. Playtime, we always hear from guys getting the texts and the emails.
Yeah.
Of course, it's typical.
Yeah.
Playtimes. I mean, we've also heard one where a parent followed the coach out to the parking lot. And
I hope it wasn't Coach Burrell because he can still hang clean.
No, but it was we don't.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
he's
I don't
gnarly.
actually remember who it was, but was looking like it was going to get a little nastier than he probably wanted.
If anybody ever asks me about playing time, I'm always like, my response is come watch 2 practices and then like we'll talk. It's I don't think anybody's ever accused me of not wanting to win. So it's like if it's a playing time thing, it's like we're playing the better kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could be my nephew and
Yeah.
catch. He's not out there. So.
gotta have the skills.
You got to have the skills to play. All right. Do you have any superstitions, my friend, either as a player or coach?
That's a really good one. That's I like to shave like clean shave the night before
clean
every
shaven
game,
there, yeah.
every game, which is the opposite of my brother. My brother, the big beard, but like
Yeah.
always as a player, I hated having like the scruff and the chin strap. I try to always get to the field like an hour and a half early. Like I like to be there early. I don't like the feeling of being rushed before a game. You know what I mean? So that I can kind of take it all in. But as far as superstitions, like no, not really.
As a player, or when you were in college or high school,
as a player, no. I mean, my goalie was like for sure OCD. Like he would put on his socks and then he would like fluff them 7 times each. Like stuff like that. And I was always just like, I was just at that time being like, oh man, did I remember to bring my gloves?
Yeah, right.
Like, so,
where's my helmet?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got up to Syracuse my senior year and I had forgotten my helmets and cleats, so like I had to borrow a poor freshman.
Funny.
Yeah. And,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, we won 17-3 though or something.
Okay,
so it was all good.
Yeah, everything's all good when
It
you
was
do
a
that.
good thing you forgot him.
How about any nicknames? Did you ever have any nicknames in kid, high school, college, anything?
So
now?
Cooper is like an all-time
Coop is probably
great
an
last
all-time
name,
one,
but
yeah.
my brother was kind of first born and then first out here, so he kind of got the Coop label. And so most people like call me Bry or like Brian
There
or
you go.
B Coop, you know what I mean? But no, nothing ever like when Cooper's like such a strong like nickname potential, like you don't really have to go in any other direction. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some other great nicknames, in college, not appropriate for public podcast.
Okay, there
not
you go.
specifically for me, but for other people.
Jimmy, I never asked you that question. What was your nickname?
I don't really have Bull,
And Jimmy,
Just
JB,
yeah,
JB or Bull,
Yeah. Mine was T-Bone.
T-Bone.
it's a strong
T-Bone.
strong- Bull,
T-Bone.
T-bone. You guys should call this the Bull and T-Bone podcast.
The Bull.
We should.
We could. We might throw that in there at some point. Okay, my friend. Favorite go-to food?
Like to make or to just
Either make.
He's
go
a
out
foodie,
to-
man.
I know.
He's a
That's
foodie.
good.
yeah.
But what's your favorite food? And then if there is, once you've given me that, what is the favorite restaurant you would go to for that food?
So my favorite restaurant as of late is Bluefin Sushi right there on
Yeah.
El Camino Real.
Yep.
I think it's also like Canelo Alvarez's favorite restaurant. He's got like 7 pictures on the walls with his F. But like
Nice.
walking distance from my house, love a good Sapporo, like spicy tuna roll.
Oh, love
and,
Japanese beer.
Yeah, my favorite food to cook and eat at home is Italian.
Italian?
Yeah, like I got like a Sunday gravy sauce recipe that
Oh.
you can do, and I've always
Another
had it
place to go, Jimmy. We gotta have him
Yeah,
fire that
yeah,
up for
no,
us.
That's
What is it? A fresh tomatoes or canned or?
it's fresh. I mean, it's fresh. It's all
you
fresh.
blend
yeah.
the tomatoes in a
We
blender.
blend. We got the food processor, but it's also like it's one of these that's like I'm doing like it's like 8-9 hours slow cooked on the stove.
So you
and,
blend the tomatoes, you
yeah.
add your spices, and it just simmers all day.
Yeah, I can't give away all the secrets.
Well,
but
I
you
just-
can come
I
over
got-
and
you know,
watch. But like,
I'm trying to get the
it's
level
like-
of respect for your sauce.
it's-
If it's fresh tomatoes, all right.
When
you
the
already
guy's
got a high
talking about
level.
cooking it for 8 hours, there's a level of respect right
Yeah.
there.
You've seen Goodfellas. It's like don't let the sauce stick. It's
Yeah.
like that's it's like
All
that's,
right.
that's a job. But
got
yeah,
nice tang to it.
Bluefin.
So sushi's a go-to restaurant.
Sushi's a go-to.
Yeah.
I
What Italian place do you like?
Buena Forchetta is
Oh,
fantastic.
my
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah.
Jimmy and I,
Tom.
absolute
I like that place.
favorite.
It's good.
It's so consistent.
Trying to think of what else. Like I know I got a couple more in the bag that I really like. I've been actually like now that I'm a Cathedral guy. I've been trying to explore the One Paseo
Yeah,
area.
One Paseo. North is down there.
Nix and Del Mar is Nix Del Mar.
Try
is really
North
good.
Italia.
North Italia.
North
okay,
Italia
yeah,
is
North
super
Italia.
good.
Yeah.
Wait, who else?
In One
Oh
Paseo.
wait, that was Trena and Adam. There's a North
There's
Italia.
North up in
LA.
LA area. Yeah. I think there's several of them, but the one in One Paseo is really,
It's really
good.
Oh, okay.
You have very good go-to for
That's like-
Italian.
yeah.
Decent prices too. So,
You're a big sandwich guy too.
Love sandwiches.
Yeah,
Love sandwiches.
East Coast sandwiches.
what's
right?
your go-to for sandwiches?
Rosanna's. Shout out to Rosanna's Pasta Shop right there next to Leslie's Pool Supply behind the Starbucks and on El Camino. I think it's
Okay.
been there since like the
Oh,
80s.
that
Yeah,
little pasta place
little
has good
pasta-
sandwiches.
The best Italian, like, and it's like
Meatball sub.
It's the meatball subs out of control, and it's
have
it's
to go there.
Rosanna, and the husband owned it. Now the daughter runs it. It's been there since like the 80s or something. So it's like local. They got all kinds of great little Italian grocery things in there. I'm in there at least like once a week.
Okay.
Number 13, extra pepperoncinis.
All right, the number 13.
Extra pepperoni.
I'm hungry right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite movie?
Great question. Probably like lately, last like 10 years, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like I really liked.
Good flick.
Big Leo, big Brad Pitt guy. And then also really love Goodfellas, Godfather, like that.
The
Like
whole Godfather.
feeling a little
series.
emotional. I'll go like Good Will Hunting.
Oh, Good Will Hunting, yeah.
Good Will Hunting's
Great
great. I don't get to the movies as much as I'd like to anymore, but when I do Sinopolis and saw Killers of the Flower Moon, anything by Scorsese, I'm in,
Scorsese's the man.
Yeah.
All right, so getting kind of down here to the end. So if you could meet any celebrity, who would it be? Living or dead? Abraham Lincoln, maybe. But, living or dead, who would you want to meet?
Winston Churchill.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell us why.
I'm a huge history guy. Like, that was my major in college.
Super
and,
cool.
Churchill, there's a good argument that could be made that he saved like the West from fascism.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And he's also, if you read about it, he's just a fascinating guy. I mean, he was smoking 4 cigars a day. He was wearing a bathrobe.
Incredible
and
guy.
like the bombs are falling on top of him. He's drinking brandy for breakfast. He's one of the wittiest
like you,
guys
Jimmy.
ever. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of those guys that you'd
That's for lunch.
absolutely want to sit down with. I can't get enough Churchill books.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, that movie was killer.
The Darkest.
I love that movie.
It's awesome. Yeah,
It's kind of underrated. They didn't. I don't know what kind of reviews it got, but I was glued to that.
It's one of those movies that like the guy Oldman, Gary Oldman, who played him, won the Best Actor at the Academy Awards, and but it just didn't. It's a period piece, and there wasn't actual like war violence. But there's a book, Splendid and Vile, that is like it goes deep dive into like Churchill's like diaries and stuff during that time, whereas basically everyone's like, "Yo, we got to surrender," and he was just like, "No," and just was like, "Germany's gonna keep bombing us." Like, we're just gonna hold out till America comes into the war. So,
Yeah.
Churchill's like a personal hero of mine. I'd love to get a beer with that.
That would
guy.
be amazing.
Yeah.
Spend a little cup of tea with Winston Churchill.
Yeah, that
Smoke
would
a
be-
cigar with him.
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh, we're
that
talking.
could be a nice afternoon.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, Jimmy, anything you want to ask this new head coach here?
Just congratulations, long overdue.
Yeah, long overdue, and congratulations.
I will say that if you guys don't know Brian, he's probably, the Cooper brothers are the most authentic lacrosse people in this town.
Thanks, man.
Brian, for sure. Brian is very passionate, sometimes misinterpreted for other things, but his passion is he doesn't give up. He knows what he's doing, and I think congratulations, man.
Thanks,
long,
dude.
long
Indeed,
overdue.
congratulations.
Appreciate it,
The
dude.
Cathedral they don't know how good a coach they're getting. They're getting, that program's going to be
Skyrocketing.
flipped overnight
Yeah,
in a
gonna
positive
be awesome.
direction.
Well,
Can't wait to.
I appreciate it. I'll get you good now that you got no sons left at LCC, right?
No, but I
No.
still
I'll
do
get
the
you guys some
announcing.
Cathedral shirts or something.
So.
You know what I mean?
No, dude,
I don't know if I can do that.
I'd be happy to do
Come
that.
on. Yeah,
I'd be happy to do
yeah.
that, brother.
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Anything from your end? Anything you want to say to our listeners out there or viewers?
no, I mean, I think this is fantastic. Obviously it's a little tough to come in and be like, I got to talk about myself for an hour and a half, but it's a great platform, and it's a great thing for Southern California lacrosse, and just two impartial guys that care deeply about the sport, and to have that this ability to be able to just talk about this stuff. It's really cool, man. It's like Burrell, like I talked to him after, I talked to John after. He's like, dude, it was really awesome, the stuff. It's more about like what the lacrosse side of things that matters, because a lot of it, like, the monetization of youth sports is like, it's got its dark side, it's got its underbelly,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's like, the lacrosse stuff, it changed kids' lives. It helps your kids get to college.
Exactly.
It helps kids, develop character and develop. It's out of hear Jimmy say that, it's like I love the opportunity to go out and do what I do every day. It's like I'm living my dream, So guys like you promoting the sport and making it more visible for everybody, that allows us to keep doing stuff.
I will tell you, I've been to a bazillion tournaments, okay? And you see coaches running around the field, but go stand next to Brian at a tournament for an hour, and 100 people will walk up to him to say hello. So for recruiting, for connections in the sport. I'm not even kidding. I mean, you and your brother, everybody, like, there's a golf cart driving across like 5 fields over. It'll beeline right through the middle of the field. Stop, pull up to Brian, talk to him for a half hour. Yeah. I mean, this guy it's all about relationships first, doing the sport for the right reasons. So
yeah, I appreciate that. That's why I had to get Wes Berge as a business partner, so some people would start talking to him because he's a bit bigger name. I always joke the tournaments he's at. He's like, wow. I'm like, wow. I get out of here like an hour and a half earlier than the tournaments that he misses for playing on the pro stuff. So, and also everybody watching this, lives in San Diego, go support the Seals.
Yeah,
Wes is captain.
Absolutely.
They're going to get a championship. He just signed for 3 more years. Like, team's super fun to watch. The games are a blast to go to.
Didn't they sign JJ as well? Silstrop,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to get a Silstrop jersey, too,
Oh, I will. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Has he practiced at all? Or?
No, I think that I actually bumped into him when I was out for Denver shootout in Vail with my GWB teams. And he started a lacrosse training facility out in Denver. So him and Jack Hanna, who's like another TU alum, doing that. So I think he's been working all summer, and then I think he's gonna play with the Royals. They're kind of like I think it's like the junior team for the Seals.
Okay.
And then I think kind of try to work his way up. Those NLL teams are no joke. There's like 12 guys on the team, and there's like 6 guys that play. It's like an NBA team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly.
But Jay's super talented. I'm sure that if that's decide what the life he wants to pursue, like he's in my opinion, he's the best player to ever come out of San Diego since I've been here in 2014.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
hell of a player.
Hell of a guy.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you for sharing your journey with us.
No
I mean,
problem,
you know what? Again, I mentioned it was all about stories, and there's people that want to understand how to get recruited. There's people that want to understand how the coaching goes here. You're a wealth of knowledge for the youth side, and I think the youth is where a lot of what we do is going to be focused on because, like we had that Dads podcast, which was the journey of 4 dads and their kids. At the end of the day, it's a journey, and we want our listeners and viewers to really have the opportunity to understand the meat of the stories behind lacrosse, especially here in California. I mean, that's the whole LAX Trax side of things. So really appreciate you being here. Honored to have you here tonight.
Maybe we can get you and Wes in for one of the
absolutely.
It'd be great to get Wes over here, and maybe we'll get Mike Reese in here too as well. I think that'd be a fun show.
That would get off the rails quick. That would be an awesome show.
It could get off the rails, but I know Mike very well, so it could get off the rails. So
Mike would. I think Mike. There's never a world that Mike's turning down a podcast interview request.
No, we'll get him on, Jimmy. Let's get on that. We'll get on that, or I'll talk to Mike or whatever.
Wes is, the PLL stuff is like we'll wrap up, and then he's kind of the fall works like well for him. Reese, he's available most nights. We just gotta, we gotta get it together. But I would love to do that one.
All right, we'll make it happen, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
All right, send us off, Tom.
Send us off.
Hey, tell Tommy good luck.
All right.
And then go beat Tennessee or whatever.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. All right, folks out there. Big round of applause for Brian Cooper. Once again, the new head coach at Cathedral Catholic. Should be a great season for him next year, and looking forward to great things from that program as well. So, just want to thank Brian, thank Jimmy, and we're ready to go on to our next one.
Yeah.
And as I say always, keep it within the pipes. So long.
Bye.